All right, everybody, welcome back. Going to take a look at Bitcoin here to get started. Going to make this update pretty brief, probably about 30 minutes, right? Go over Bitcoin here, a couple altcoins. Nothing we haven't really been covering pretty substantially at this point, right? So dumping out of the range, which is never a great sign, right? In the short term here, we did actually come down and close that daily candle below that $37,700 level that we were looking at. And at the moment, we are essentially back testing the range and possibly going to, head down lower here, right? So that daily close of 37,700 was our first kind of shot in the dark. That's going to, indicates that we're probably going to come down and take these lows. So one thing I want to talk about today is the upside, invalidation at this point is to essentially reclaim this range, start closing your at least 4 hours just to kind of get that going. And then essentially you want to see a daily start closing back inside this range. Realistically, you want to take out this high, living above the 2-year key level. And that's pretty much for the upside at this point. But, as much as it pains me to say, and only reason I say that is just because everybody is expecting lower. It does appear to be what we're going to endure, right? So unless you really start reclaiming some levels, and that's what's going to change this around, is that you start reclaiming some levels. I mean, it'd be beautiful to get back above this point of control, but just really taking a look at the recent price action over the last few hours or last day here. We had our monthly close, right, which didn't look great. Weekly close didn't look great, and then you had your daily as well, right? So taking a look at let's see here, just the weekly level we were looking at. Yeah, we had this weekly level here that we were trying to, see if not trying. You really didn't want to see us starting to close below here. We did slightly close below, and then we kind of shot back up. But looking at this in another angle here, you can already see how we've kind of came back up, possibly getting a rejection from the range low. This is on the daily time frame, mind you, so this is not the 4 hour or anything like that. We had to run up into back into the range here. And if you're wondering what we ran it up to, it was our weekly pivot, right? So we get our new weekly pivot generated off of last week. That came out last night at 8 p.m. Eastern. So we did run back up, tag the weekly pivot, and so far coming back down. So just something to pay attention for, obviously. Continually closing these dailies below this weekly level is, like I said, that's kind of our line in the sand, so to speak, for that continuation down back and taking these lows, at least of the 32K. Dropping us down a little bit lower. We spoke about these doomsday levels for quite a while, right? You've probably heard Magic Internet Money talk about them quite often as well. And, being near this area right here, like this is when you really do have to, keep in mind that these are becoming relevant at this point, right? We're closing outside of the range on daily time frame, right? Getting rejected as of the moment. So come back into this on a daily closing time frame, and then things can change. You got a lot of a long road ahead here. Not to say that we couldn't just get one of those famous big glorious green candles and shoot us back up, but until that happens, right now you really do have to anticipate some more downside. And like I said, I hate to. Everybody's looking for downside, which is interesting. So it's always one of those scenarios where, we're either going to front run where everybody's targeting. And I think that everybody's targeting 30K. If I had to guess, I really haven't paid too much attention recently. Or it's like 24K, right? And we've even talked about 27, 28 being the golden pocket. You've got, a CME gap down at 20. I mean, these are some massive drops to be anticipating. But for me right now, just taking it level by level, really looking for this weekly to start losing some more support here. And if that does occur, what this puts us back in is that range from last year, right? So, we go from range to range, right? We rotate it onto the next one. We cycled this range. We broke the high. Essentially, we had our yearly key level come in here. We did not reclaim this at all. We re-entered the range, rotated the range back down to the range low. So now the next range below us here is that one from last year. And just taking a good look at this once again. So this box right here, right? So for anybody on TikTok, this is what we'd be looking for. You can see that we're, regarding it as support barely right now, right? So breaking back into this range conclusively, meaning start closing candles back in here. And that does basically start right about where we're at now, about 30, right under 38K. Well, then you got your point of control, right, as your major target coming in about 36,300. We do have the EQ of the range, about 35K. And then ultimately you got the range low, right? So if we rotate this range in full, that would drop us down towards this 32,000, give or take, right on the nose. And if you do remember, that is our other NPOC from last year that we left behind, right? When we were looking at this one right here, we had a monthly. Well, then we had a weekly that we did leave behind. So that does become relevant, right? Just kind of showing the levels to watch here. So right there at the bottom of the range, you can see that 32,200, give or take, is that weekly NPOC. So that's a major volume target down there. So if we do re-enter this range and take out that point of control, really do anticipate, rotating this in full, coming down to the range low, which is also that weekly NPOC down there to about 32K. From there, you reevaluate if we get there, right? So you had that monthly up here, right? That's where we came down, took out that 33K level back in January, but we did leave that weekly, which is down there about 32,200. So that would be for the downside. And like I said, just, we've really been grinding it out at this low really heavily, a lot more than we've grinded it out at the high. So, obviously we're banging on some support here. And if that does give, then this would be the levels I'd be looking for personally. Let me get this off of here. All right, I'll just leave that weekly NPOC down there. And then, yeah, I'll go ahead and take this weekly off just to kind of clear it up a little bit. But yeah, daily time frame, right? Not looking great. Things can change, however, right? So this is really a time where you want to be paying attention. We got that FOMC meeting on Wednesday, and like I said, I just feel that everybody and their mother is really, really anticipating lower. And although that doesn't necessarily change the fact that we can't go lower, it just means pay attention to where everybody's paying attention to, I guess. Because we start dropping to this region right here, right, coming to 32, that's a big panic sell area where everybody would be panic selling at a major support area. This could be an area where we turn around from, right? We could have very well even turn around from right here. So it really is just kind of a, monitor the reactions at this point. Right now, we really want to see a reclaim of this range. We're not getting it at the moment. You're getting the S&P, getting a little drop, right? You got the DXY still pumping. So just things to be aware of. But as simple as that is, you got this falling wedge. I know everybody's kind of got their eyes on too. Regardless, comes into a break out of that right into our levels here. So really want to see this 2-year key level essentially flipped and held. And then also heading up to the point of control. But for now, we have broken the range to the downside on a closing basis on a daily, right? And possibly getting a back test right here. So just something to be aware of. Continually losing this 37,700, which is our monthly and our weekly support coming in right here. And then essentially we really don't have much else until we get down to these levels, right? So that would be the outlook I'm looking at for Bitcoin. So all of them, or are they all separate indicators? Yeah. If you got it, if you're prepared for this, this is definitely, a time, to accumulate. And hey, man, even if we get to 30, even if you go lower, this is still, if you have that long-term vision here of the crypto market going higher, I feel like just like last summer, these low 30K regions, even when we already came down to 33, 34, these can, I think that these will be some long-term amazing entries, right? No support at 34K. Yeah, there's, not really. To me, I'd be looking for, whatever. 35 is the EQ, and then, looking down from there. I would imagine if we break that point of control at 36,300, that we're probably going to rotate this range and hit that weekly NPOC down here. But, yeah. They're all custom. Everyone is sweating. Yeah, I mean it's not a fun time, man. For most people, like, um, and very fearful at this point, right? You got realistically, I mean, there's nothing like, even back at least last summer, when we had the July lows, this and that, you had some bullish divergence to go off of. You had, like some of the, you don't really have any of those signs quite yet. So to go a bit lower, I think is definitely in play. Come down and finally, one thing I would hate to see, and not to hate to see, I wish we would have just came down and tagged it way back here when we were $1,000 away. But the fact that we left this, major NPOC down here from this time frame, it'd been great to just have tagged that and then, kind of been onward and upward from there. But coming down and tagging this one, I think would make a lot of sense. That would take the lows, like I said, from these previous 2 wicks down. I think that would trigger everybody into, really thinking that we were going to head a lot lower. I think everybody's really looking lower, like 24K, talks of 20K again, 13, whatever the case may be. Obviously, I think we just have to monitor it as you go, level by level. There's going to be bounces along the way, regardless. Well, you can anticipate it. I mean, sometimes you don't, right? We did have that straight up the nuke right here. You got your nuke over here. I think that's what everybody is looking for too. And once again, I hate to even say the terms. I think that's what everybody else is looking for, because it just really doesn't matter. Even back at 58K when we were dropping from December last year, the everybody wanted number was like 42 and 39. Well, we got them, right? But then we got them and then some. And that's kind of the case I'm just trying to make, is that, it's one of those times where I don't hear too many talking about 32. So 32, and then, like I said, there's a lot of confluence around 32, in my opinion. If we do drop a little bit lower here, we're going to re-enter that historic range from last year. Like I said, you got the point of control at 36,300. You got your EQ about 35K, and then you got the bottom of that range lining up with this weekly NPOC down here. That would take the lows right there. And Magic Internet Money, had mentioned that would be the perfect crime, right? So, because everybody would be looking lower, this would definitely front run. This is just an idea at the time, right? This is just, in general, this is a target that I'm anticipating to see. Not saying for sure that we would turn around from there. We'd have to see how things react, but it would be interesting. But even on the realistic scale after that, I mean, we do have the golden pocket of the macro move all the way down here, about 28, 27K. And that would be detrimental, right? That would really take the lows of everything, coming down to that level. You do have 24K, it's just the list can go on and on. You're always going to be looking lower as you're trending lower, obviously. So for now, I would just, for me, I'm taking it level by level. We have we are aware of the levels below us and why they, would be relevant and when. Right now, to me, this is a very likely scenario, unless we start reclaiming some levels. And it's as simple as that, right? It's just planning your reactions. I know nobody wants to hear that it could go up, down, or sideways, but that's really what it is, right? The market's not meant to be predictable. It's just probable, right? You gotta base your probabilities and get prepared for either scenario, and have those, have your invalidations and everything in place. But that's what I'd be looking for here at a Bitcoin. Obviously, that would be a pretty decent move to the downside if this was to play out, another 16%. So you could bet that the altcoins would get hammered. One thing about Bitcoin is that, correlated towards Ethereum, and this is what we were discussing for quite a while, is that while, a lot of the altcoins were coming down into major supports from, their macro range that we were looking at, ETH really wasn't, and ETH was actually re-entering a range, which, once again, you re-enter this range on a closing basis, and then it's pretty likely that you're going to rotate it at least down to the point of control, and from there rotate full to the range low. So this is something, kind of keeping an eye on as well. Solid downtrend at the moment, obviously, pretty much losing every level. Just flipped our 2-year key level once again. This is the date. I'm looking at everything on the daily time frame right now, so a little bit higher time frame than usual. But just kind of showing, where the dailies are lining up here. So basically, we just, closed below our 2-year key level, possible, where we haven't closed today yet. Sorry about that. Possible to, be coming back up here and getting rejection. If we start to reclaim this region, right, we look up to that range high once again. But really, until we get back out of this range, This is, more probable to me that we're at least going to come down and tag this point of control at this point. As far as, some smaller levels at play right below us. I know it's going to get real busy real quick, but you do have a weekly and a monthly that we're kind of dancing around. Besides that, it's just going down towards the point of control there. So the reason I bring this up right now is we were just looking at Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin drops it to 32K, right? Big ifs. It's just scenario ideas here. We have 15% pullback. And if Ethereum drops it to the range low, just so happens to be a 15% pullback. And generally what happens to one of them, they tend to kind of ebb and flow in the same fashion. So just an idea there, right? If we were to see this range low, the conditions I think in the market would be Bitcoin dropping it back to that 32K, that weekly in POC. So just an idea at the moment, right? Something monitoring. All these things can change once again, right? You start reclaiming some level, and that's really as simple as it comes down to. But as far as ETH goes, I mean, that's pretty much the ETH trajectory at the moment, right? If we do, see this range rotated in full, that's coming back down to the $2,300 ETH once again, which we saw back in January and February of this year. So point of control does come in at 2,600, and the range high yearly key level, which is pretty much the area you want to see, reclaim for upside continuation. That does come all the way back up at about 3,100. So. Hidden bearish on ETH's 4-hour. Yeah. I mean, nothing looks great. I mean, there's just, and the only thing about this that is just so interesting compared, it's just like everybody's noticing it, which is interesting. So, or not, I don't know. It depends on how everybody's playing it, I guess, because I think that for the most part, most are pretty bearish, and that's just an interesting schematic to see that that's the case. So, one thing everybody I think is under the same umbrella to say that they wouldn't be surprised that the market just dumped after Wednesday's news, whatever. If that's going to be something that drowns out some action, but. Wouldn't it be surprising to actually see the markets pump out of there, right? So, but for now, you really, there's really no reason to anticipate that, aside from just a complete bear trap, right? So, have your have your strategies lined up, I guess. The de-risking areas have come and gone, so at this point, you're really in the middle, so to speak. So it's definitely, time to decide if you're in it for the tech, I guess. ETH, what are we gonna look at? CRO is another one. It's had some moves, right? Just want to kind of take a look at the actual technicals here, right? So this is the daily time frame once again, and very similar to how Bitcoin could end up moving once it dumped out of that range. But we did dump out of this range right here. So this is one of the things, right? This is when we talk about these ranges. A range is a range until it breaks, right? So when you're looking at the low and you're looking at the high, depending on what you're trying to achieve here, you can, even on spot trading, you can put a stop loss right below these range lows. Obviously there's times when you deviate and whatever, but the idea would be really that, if you lose the range low, you stop loss it out and you protect yourself from any, possible downside. Then what you do is you look for the reclaim of the range, right? You're going to miss out on whatever, if that's the case. Perfect example over here would have been a good example, right? Dump out of the range where you come in, you reclaim it. This is where you'd want to enter again. Stop loss just below once again. And then you cycle it up from there. Perfect example is this. Once again, this is the daily time frame. Dumped right out of this range. Weekly, daily, really didn't stand a chance. And then from here, we've got our Q2 of 2021 range high coming in as the next major support. That is about 25 cents, right? So things like CRO, things like Solana, things like Phantom, the big coins that rallied, heavily. They have a lot of areas where if they drop out of, there's nothing really, this is why you see these drastic moves down. They had such drastic moves up. There's no support. There's no resist. There's nobody here, regarding this area, because it's just a straight up movement. So Once you lose some of these, it's pretty much back down to that next level, right? So CRO does have that next range right below us. And if you re-enter that range, right? So you re-enter this, you got a high probability that you may cycle through. Obviously, that is going to assume that the whole market's probably going to take a pretty decent hit. But you got the point of control, right? So say you re-enter this, that next major area I'd be looking for would be, it's also the yearly S1 support, but that's a point of control as well. You can't see it on TikTok, but it's right there. And then from there, you may end up seeing that range low come back into play. But for now, be looking for this range high to come in as support. Short term, about 24 cents. We're very close to that now. And then from there, we'll gauge it as we go. I'm not trying to add in at all to all the doom and gloom. I do foresee the remainder of this year actually being pretty good for crypto. And that's hard to believe, but it really does. Just, it's one of those times I say, often is that the only thing that's going to change anybody's mind right now, obviously, if we slowly reclaim these levels, that'd be great, but we'd be doing nothing more than what we've already done over the last 5 months. One of these big boy candles right here is what changes everybody's mind and everybody's perception really quickly. And you're always at the, the mercy of something like this occurring, especially when you get everybody looking one way. Right now, that way is down, right? So there's probably a ton of people. And if you're entering short positions here, obviously you're losing support. So technically, you're not wrong, I guess, in that aspect if you're looking to, short your resistance. But after a move like this, it's just a high, comes at a risk, right? Because you're pretty much coming in at a already after a 50% drawdown. So the ideas of not necessarily a short squeeze, but if you could see some price action really push higher here, a lot of shorts that do enter at these lower levels, get liquidated or close out, and that in turn fuels these moves higher pretty quickly. So that's something to be aware of as well. So like I said, it's just one of those times when the de-risk area is kind of come and gone, and now you got to kind of pay attention to see how things play out. You can hedge yourself a bit, if you want to take something off the table and just kind of have a little bit in, a little bit out, just in case we do draw down, and you can have some capital to buy in lower. At the same time, if we do continue to push up higher, you still got your skin in the game. And my phone is blowing up. All right. No, I actually focus heavily on altcoins, but right now Bitcoin is very important. For anybody that doesn't know as well, Magic Internet Money and I, another trader and analyst here on TikTok and YouTube, we do run the leading crypto Discord server. So if anybody's interested in learning how we identify these ranges, point of controls, key levels, things of that nature, updates to all my altcoin setups and Magic's Bitcoin analysis, which is tenfold, compared to mine. We also do some member-only market updates where we put we record those and put these available for anybody that can't make it. It's every Wednesday and Sunday, 9:30 p.m. And then we have a slew of other, content channels in here as well. So if you're interested, the link is in my bio on TikTok and my description on YouTube. But yeah, actually, me personally, I focus a lot more on the altcoins. I'm going to take a look at Link here real quick. Link is one that we've been waiting for. Link is in a humongous range, and sorry to muddy this up with all these horizontal levels here, but really just want to point out this monthly down here at about 990. Otherwise, I'll take these off. Maybe I can come down and just click that one right there. So about 990. For Link. This is a really, really large range compared to many others. And, from low to high, granted, we're dumping out of it right now. It's about 100% move. So you really want to see this range low reclaimed, meaning that we come back into this region about 1160, start closing 4-hour candles and realistically a daily. So this is a daily time frame. So you can see we dumped out of this on a daily, ran it back up, rejected on a daily, drawn back down on it, on the daily time frame, right? This is where we are. So that next major level, which we've been looking for quite some time, is about 970, 980 in the $9 region. We'll really have to see how the rest of the market looks around that time frame. It's only about an 8% move at this point, so something to kind of keep in mind if Bitcoin really does kind of see some of those lower levels. But as far as the upside, you really want to see this range reclaimed. And then from there, same targets we've had for quite some time. HBAR is another one. So I'm going over the ones that have really just kind of gotten hit hard recently. And, I've covered these quite often here. And once again, the validation and the invalidations. And HBAR is a really good example of this. So HBAR, going to move it over here. So this was our range that we were in, right? And very similar. You don't have to trade anything on leverage, especially these altcoins. The altcoins move so vigorously that, they sneeze 3-4% like it's nothing. And if you're on 10x leverage or even 5x, I mean, it's really easy to get jacked up. So even just on, spot trading alone or spot, DCA, whatever you want to look at, if you're at this range low and you got these lows right here, this would be your, an area that you want to consider maybe putting a stop loss below. If that gets triggered, then reevaluate what's going on, in the market at the time. And this is a perfect example of one because we ran it to the range high, rotated to the range low, lost the range, came back tested it. So right here would have been a decent area to have, considered having that stop loss, and that would have protected you from about a 30% drawdown. So now what are we looking at for HBAR? We have our, was this Q2, was range low of last year, came and went. Once again, this is the daily time frame. So we spent some time there, about 3 days, lost it on a closing basis, headed down to our yearly key level. And if we do lose that, I would imagine that this Q1 of last year's point of control comes into play at about 9 cents. So in this region, right, I know that's a pretty big area here. It's about a 30% window. To me, this would be, if Bitcoin drops it down to that weekly NPOC we were just looking at, then this would probably be an area that HBAR comes down and sees too, right? So it's kind of just, once again, just putting the whole market into context with each other and seeing how things could play out here. As far as picking up some more for a longer term, this is once again a very ideal area to consider with a pretty clear, invalidation point. You start closing below here, we're probably coming down to this next level, right? So just wanted to kind of point that one out. But yeah, HBAR has been taking a pretty good hit. Phantom, I think somebody just asked about. Another one as well, right? So Phantom was one that, zooming out, we talked about this multitude of times. Getting in on Phantom around those levels at the highs was always a pretty decent risk because and it's not just Phantom. Obviously, at this point, it's the whole market. But from that, I mean, Phantom had rallied up like 300x during this bull run. So it's just something to kind of, keep note of and be aware of, is that this is something that already pretty much, had hit the gas pretty hard. Something similar to Solana as well. I haven't looked at Quant in a while, but I think Quant was also another one that really, really, ran hard this time around. But regardless, similar situation occurred. Right, you had your range over here. We dumped out of it basically, lost that quarterly key level. Not much in between here as far as like major levels go. This monthly was something I was paying attention for, and you can see here how we kind of have held it. Maybe we're flipping into support, but if the market continues lower here, I'd be looking for this yearly S1 or this quarterly key level. So between where we are now and about 47 cents. As far as upside would go, I would really look for this. I know this is a big gap here, but I'd be looking for this range to get reclaimed up here in this quarterly key level back at about $1.13. So take that for what it's worth. If you're a diehard Phantom fan, you could be looking to DCA in around these levels here, and then look to start considering that we'd get some more upside around these levels. But really going to have to depend on how Bitcoin and the rest of the market does continue from here. But also do know that we are down, substantially, right? So you've got 80% from the recent high here. So if you are in a DCA camp, take it for what it's worth. Rivalry, how you doing, buddy? Long, baby. Yeah. Yeah. Opening a short right here, it's probably not the best. Like it's one of those scenarios where, right, like even though we could see this move to the downside, um, a push higher to 40,300, back into this range first before you get it. I mean, it's likely. So it's, unless you're short from way up higher, range high, something of that nature, shorting the range low area is probably not unless you really got a tight stop loss. But as you can see here, we've been chopping around this range low, pretty much just doing that, right? Taking out anybody trying to short at the lows. Almost anytime anybody's trying to short at the lows, they're taken out. So yeah, it's you kind of have to be looking for longs. I know that's a hard thing for most people to understand. So what that means is, for me, I'd be looking for, I would at this point, if you're not in a short, which I'm not in a short at the moment, I would probably look down towards this region next for me. And I know that sounds foolish because if we do get there, obviously that would be a great short idea. So if you want to take a short, obviously that's up to you. But you would be shorting into some major lows at this point, right? So it's just all about the risk management, and entering short at this level is probably not the best risk to reward at this point. Even though, like I said, a lot of things are pointing lower, blah, blah, blah. It's not going to take much, though, to just pop back in, reclaim this range, and run it up to point of control, and that would liquidate, a ton of people going short. What that'll do is that'll actually fuel that's what fuels these big green candles here, right? All these people coming in and shorting at this level or shorting at this level, and you start getting those rallies up to the upside, and people are closing out of their positions or they're getting liquidated, and then we get that move higher. So yeah, it's really a situation you got to be looking for longs, in my opinion, but take that for what it's worth. Rivalry. Longs only. Yeah, now we come back in and we reclaim this range as well. That'd be a decent area to consider. You got a pretty clear invalidation point, right? Come back in and reclaim this range. You got a nice 2% window. So depending on how you're going to be doing things, I mean, you could, I guess, start taking them from here. We do have that weekly level and our monthly open to consider as well. So both of those come in about 37.6-ish. Thoughts on Jasmine? We'll take a look at Jasmine. Jasmine's probably been taking a hit with everything else, right? Oh, just back to the point of control. Well, I'm surprised that's not I'm surprised that this is not worse. Yeah, I mean, we had this big move, which is where we pretty much identified it in the group, ran it up to the point of control, reclaimed the point of control, ran to range high. We re-entered the range, and essentially we were targeting the point of control, and ultimately your range low is a full rotation. But unless you lose, so this is another idea here, right? And once again, you probably don't want to mess around with this on leverage because this just moves so vigorously. But if Jasmine is something, once again, you're just die hard, you really have to get in. You could put a stop loss right below this point of control because if we lose that, more than likely we're going to rotate back down to the range low. From here, though, you got the range high coming in and a slew of other targets here. But yeah, right now we're coming into, you got your quarterly point of control, major support right here. But if you do lose that, you're looking down towards this. So thoughts on near. So everything I'm looking at right now is on a daily time frame, by the way, for anybody asking. All right, so taking a look at near, right? What do we have? Had our quarterly range here, bum, 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 right? Range low, took over the point of control, ran it to the high. From there, we had our April range coming in along the top here, got a nice long wick almost to the price discovery mode. We were looking for, if we did flip this region up here, that these would be the next three targets to consider, it'd be 24, 26, and 28 respectively. Coming back in here, right? We had this range here, we dumped out of it. So what do? We re-enter our previous range. When you re-enter that previous range, you're going to run it to the point of control, and then possibly even rotate down to the range low. So this 2-week level right here was actually the 786 retrace level as well. So we did get a bounce off that so far. Seem to be getting a little rejection up here at this weekly, and right now supported right at the point of control once again. So could come in as some support at the moment. I mean, this would be what you want to see, possibly a little SR flip. The only thing is, if we give up that point of control one more time, I think we'd come back down to this range low, which would ultimately be where we drop down to, right? So that's about 15% to the downside from where we are now. So that'd be what I'd be looking for. It'd be about 950 on near. Do you hold this level, of course, and then you challenge into the range high once again. You re-enter your April range, break your April range. I mean, you got all the staircase levels ahead of you there. But do realize that we've broke back in here, closed on a bearishly, of course. Very possible to come back down to the range low before everything's said and done, at least. Thanks for your answer. Yeah, my pleasure. Not looked at quant in a few days. Take a look at quant real quick. Oh, quant perfectly at the range low. Under $100, right? I mean, this really simple. Couple of levels here for quant. Obviously, if we lose this, quant is another one. Kind of similar to, we do have a lot of support though over here. I could map it out, but it's just not really worth it at the moment. So if once again, a similar situation where, if you're looking to, enter quant and really, worried about, depending on what your strategy is, if you're looking for a stop loss scenario, right, you got a pretty decent stop loss level right here at about $84. So that's about probably not a great leverage trade, of course, 7 or 8% from that low. So for a spot, idea, this would be something that, if you want to protect yourself from a possible meltdown any further than it is, if you're looking to re-enter or enter some new positions right here, that'd be what I'd be looking for. But we have come down to a macro range low, so that's something to consider. You are at support right now. And from there, you got your point of control back at 116. We've got that monthly key level we've been looking at for literally the last few months, right at 124. Flip that. We got a range high. And then when you get above this range high, conclusively, it really shouldn't be too long of a journey back up to this yearly open and this yearly key level at 210. But, right now, obviously, we got a lot of work to do. But, coming right back down to that range low. So pretty decent area as far as the DCA standpoint would go. Yeah, see, if you guys start shorting here, rivalry is just going to push the market up. I was about to pull up here. All right. Once again, for anybody that's interested, Magic Internet Money and myself, right, we run the leading crypto Discord server. Where here you'll have access to all my altcoin stuff, Magic's Bitcoin analysis, members only market updates every Wednesday and Sunday nights, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, along with order flow and open interest courses. Courses like classrooms. Basically, we have an order flow and open interest specialist, Max, over in Dubai, and he holds really, really great order flow classrooms. We've got a couple of really great traders in the group, such as Rivalry, T-Bone, Tar Heel, got Ali. Twin. I mean, just a ton of great people, just all day, every day, pretty much just calling out moves here in the market. And one just, Bitcoin analysis only, where if you're interested, I mean, this is definitely going to be the place you want to, be paying attention to in the sense of understanding how the market could and should react. But if you're interested, the link is in my bio here on TikTok and my description on YouTube. Hope to see you there. Otherwise, I think that's about all I got for you all today. This is recorded and on YouTube for anybody that's just joining and missed anything. If you want to go back there and rewind it, more than capable of it. All right. Hope you all have a great day, afternoon, evening, wherever you're on this beautiful world. Till next time, everybody. Cheers.